Hello there. My name is Dr. Ryan Skelton, and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in Portland, Oregon. Welcome to episode 1 of my Psych Out video podcast. I'm providing this podcast as is for informational purposes only. You're welcome to distribute it to anyone you'd like, but it should include the podcast in its entirety. Please do not consider this podcast a substitute for treatment by a licensed clinical professional who has taken the time to evaluate you and who is aware of your specific situation. Today's topic is a 60-minute piece from a little over a week ago. It discussed the psychological consequences of long-term employment, and the piece talked about things like anxiety and depression, feeling a sense of overall despair, and feeling disconnected from your professional identity, and the things that happen to families for some people as a result of being unemployed. Things like divorce, problems with your children, marital stress in general, but also things like feeling depressed and anxious. And I thought the piece did a really good job of pointing out those issues that are a concern for many people when they become unemployed, but I was frustrated that it didn't really talk about the psychological side of what can be done to help people who are in that circumstance. And since I have some expertise in that area, that's what led me to produce the first episode of this podcast. So, this is a topic that means a lot to me because I've seen firsthand that people who are really depressed and very anxious and very frustrated because they're experiencing the stress that comes with being unemployed can in fact turn that around. Now, I'm not suggesting that everyone who's unemployed needs psychotherapy. In fact, there's a certain amount of depression and anxiety that just comes from being dislocated from the job, and many people can get over that without seeking the aid of a psychological professional. However, there are a subset of folks that become unemployed that have much worse anxiety and depression that over time has severe consequences to their personal well-being and overall health, both physical health and mental health. And I'm going to cover depression and anxiety in future podcasts, so I won't go into that today, but I just want to acknowledge that it's only a subset of folks that become unemployed who feel as though they're going to need assistance to get through the psychological consequences that they're experiencing. But regardless of whether you or the person who you referred to this podcast is one of those folks, I still think the information contained here will be of value to everyone in terms of a framework to understand how your professional identity contributes to your overall psychological health, and what you can do to resolve some of the psychological stress that comes with being unemployed, and through that process make yourself more attractive for future jobs that you may be able to secure. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and please contact me. I'm going to leave my email address at the end of this. Whether you've just recently lost your job and are just beginning the process of trying to figure out what unemployment means and how it's going to affect you personally and financially and psychologically, or you've been unemployed for a long time, it can be really helpful to take stock of what it is that you miss the most about your professional identity. Is it spending time with colleagues and friends? Is it being engaged in professional pursuits that are really exciting to you and really challenging and mentally stimulating? Is it having a daily schedule so that you know everything that you're doing on a minute by minute basis, and you feel that schedule in itself is motivating for you and gets you out of bed in the morning because you know that you're doing something significant and meaningful to yourself. So the first phase of this is for you personally to evaluate the loss in a real and meaningful and tangible sense, so that you know the areas of your life that have been affected by the process of losing the job. Once you've made an honest assessment of the things that you've lost as a result of not having a job, the next step is to begin to reconstruct those portions of your identity actively. Let me give you a few practical examples. Let's say that in your honest assessment of loss, you discover that one of the things that you miss is having a scheduled and structured day. Well, it's actually quite easy to produce a schedule and stick to a schedule and make sure that you are holding yourself to that. Just think of yourself as an individual who is employed in the process of gaining a job, or if you're not actively looking for a specific job at that moment because there's not one available, think of yourself as an individual who is employed in the process of improving their daily circumstances, because that's really what you're doing. And although you may not be reimbursed economically for that particular activity, you're certainly reimbursed psychologically, and the activity in itself will pay dividends in the sense that it adds to both your individual and personal development. So my advice is, if you miss a schedule, make a schedule and hold yourself to that schedule just as if you were your own boss. If you're missing a professional connection with colleagues, then reach out to those colleagues either by contacting your former place of employment and seeing if your colleagues will be willing to hang out with you after hours or on the weekends to discuss work-related activities, or just to catch up on what they've been doing lately in their profession and how things are at your current workplace. If reconnecting with your current workplace is not an option because the circumstances in which you left your previous employment were stressful, then consider reconnecting with colleagues at places like conferences or online chat rooms where your profession is being discussed, online workshops or seminars that you can attend that are often cheaper than in-person seminars, or even a local workshop that's offered by another professional with whom you'd like to connect and learn. And if you're saying to yourself, that's great, Ryan, but I'm unemployed, there's absolutely no way that I can afford to go to a workshop, well, let's take a look at that for a minute. That might be an economic reality at the moment. But you might also wish to consider that attending a workshop for half a day or a day is actually not that large of an economic commitment on your part, and you're going to have to make a commitment to your professional and personal health in order to resolve the stress of unemployment. And part of the hesitation that you might be feeling may be some of your own reluctance to do that. So I urge you to take a real look at what's holding you back from your own professional and personal development at this moment. What is it that you can do to improve your life circumstances, whether you're actively seeking employment or not? How is it that you can make yourself reconnected to that aspect of your own identity? Well, you need to address the loss that you identified in the first step of this process. If you do that, you will be a healthier, happier human being. And if you feel like you need help to do that, because the process of looking at the loss is difficult or challenging, because you have anxiety or depression, because your family circumstances are escalating and very difficult and beyond your control to manage independently at this time, then I urge you to seek out professional assistance from a psychologist like myself. We're here to help, and we can work with you to help you resolve the stress of unemployment, deal with complicated anxiety or depression, and improve your overall health and your family life. So these stressors are a reality for so many Americans right now, and I just wanted people to know that psychologists as a profession have many, many, many tools to assist you in this situation. We are also obligated to work with you to determine a treatment situation that best fits your current financial circumstances. So many people would be surprised at the level of psychological assistance that is available, even if your income is somewhat depleted due to an unemployment situation. So please don't let that be a barrier to getting the assistance you need to resolve your current psychological issues that you're struggling with. And thank you very much for listening. I know that this is a difficult time, and I hope that this podcast is a resource for many people out there who need assistance. I will be producing future podcasts at the rate of about 1 or 2 a month from this point forward. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel for future updates. Have a great day and the best of health.